This lesson is going to kick off a series on the top and bottom bag, or tether bag. This is a really valuable piece of equipment in terms of what you'll develop. It's one of the only things that tries to hit you back, so it's going to let you work on your defensive skills in ways that other stuff's just not going to do. And it's also going to help you with the accuracy, speed, and timing of your punches. I'm going to show you a training method that I use that allows you to work on slipping. It's been really beneficial to me, and I'm hoping you'll get a lot out of it. Before we get into this lesson, I want to talk a little bit about the bag itself, get you started. You get these in several different sizes. It's usually like 6 to 9 inches. If you're just starting out, bigger is a better way to go. It's a little slower moving, easier to work with. It's a bigger target, easier to hit. The bag's pretty cheap. It's probably the cheapest piece of equipment you will buy, which is a good thing because they don't last forever. If I'm training a lot, I'll pretty much wear one out in about a year. And then you need a couple things with it. Always good to have an air pump handy because these things just, you don't train for a couple days, you come back and it's about flat. And also a pair of bag gloves is a good idea. The bag itself doesn't hurt, but in a lot of cases you have these little metal hooks on top and bottom. If you miss, it really sucks to pop one of these, so this is a good investment here. Another kind of downside to the top and bottom bag is a lot of people have an aversion of putting a bolt into their floor. Probably their landlord or wife has an aversion to it. Really easy way to get around that: get some plywood, cut smaller than the size of a weight disc, put a couple 25-pounders on here, and then run an eye bolt in through the top, and that works as a really effective weight to keep the bottom part of the bag down. Lastly, when you set up the bag, for what we're going to do, we want it pretty loose. We want a lot of travel so it goes a long ways. If you want to work on speed and accuracy more, tighter is better, but we want this bag to be able to travel enough to come back and actually hit us for what we're going to be working on. And when you set it up, you want the ball about chest height. And of course, when you're fighting, stance is basically going to be head level. That's what you're looking for. Get all that ready to go, and we're set to start training. First thing we need to learn how to do is hit the bag squarely. We want to get to travel straight back and come straight forward. It means we have to hit it pretty much center and straight. So from here, and a straight back travel. The more goofy you hit it at a weird angle, whatever, the more it's going to flop around, and that's fine for some things, but starting out, we really want to get as straight back and forth as possible. This is also going to help your power too. It's going to teach you to concentrate your force and use it more directly instead of kind of a sloppy, haphazard approach. And spend some time on this too. When you first get started on this piece of equipment, it's kind of a pain. It's hard to control it and get it doing what you want. Take your time, be patient, sit there and work that jab. Once you have that down, we'll start laying the groundwork for defense. Now that we can hit it squarely, we're going to check and make sure that our bag can actually hit us. What I want you to do is punch it and then let it come back and see if it will hit you in the face. I know that sounds very counterintuitive, but we do want that feedback. We want to know if our slipping if we're doing it correctly. That's what makes this valuable. We can just sit here and practice slipping in the air and all of that. We want something to come at us and to know it missed us. Don't take it on the nose. You kind of turn, take it in the cheek. Takes a little bit of the sting out of it. So if you're here, you throw your punch. If we're here, you throw your punch. You can turn a little bit, take it on the cheek. Didn't hurt, no big deal, but I do know the bag is traveling enough to hit me, and that's what you're after. Okay, for the first defensive action, the retreat slip or slip back, from here, you're just kind of leaning back a little bit and kind of back forward. This is the least desirable of the defenses to use since you're out of range and you're going to come back to hit the guy. It's not quite as efficient, but it's probably something you're going to use a lot. So we started off everything with the jab. get the bag going. From here, I'm going to punch, I'm going to slip back. One more time, slip back. One more time, slip back. No follow up yet. Next one's just retreating out. Instead of going in this way, that way, he's just going to take a little shuffle out to evade the depth of the punch. Want to demonstrate? This one's less preferred because you're not staying in range to counter, but sometimes it's what you got to do. The rule is still saying here, he's not trying to just bail. He's not trying to bail. The rule's still the same. He's not really bailing out too much. He's just getting out of the way enough to not get hit. So, with me and him, and I'm going to put my arm out and touch his face to show that I am trying to throw a shot that would actually hit him. Go ahead. So that does connect. So when I throw that for real, boom, he's just moving enough not to get hit. Now would be the retreat slip. Next one's a duck. Pretty simple. So you guys can figure it out. Throw the punch, back, drop down. One more time. Punch, drop. If you lean forward, it's more of a bob. That's something you can work on. We're not really going to go into that too much. But a duck is all the legs. So you're here and you drop down. So again, it'll be a jab, and then he counters and you drop. One more time on the bag. Hit, drop, and then you're going to be ready for a counter later when we get into that. Something else that's really important when working with this, it's really easy to get into this routine where you just punch the bag. You know, you go in there, I'm going to jab it, and I'm going to duck. And so you go jab, duck, and kind of get the timing down. That's okay, but you're really not getting the most out of it. What you want to do is hit this, and when you hit it, you want your eye to spot that moment when it starts to return and then react at that moment. You're trying to condition your brain to get used to something flying at you and then having the appropriate response. So when you hit it, track it with your eye, whoa, it's coming back, and then drop. Next is a duck. Pretty self-explanatory. Darius?
Good. Also, oh, I'm sorry. You said duck.
Duck, yeah.
Okay.
So, application, going off the jab. They come in, and then he throws in his counter. Notice he's staying close. The other thing too is we're doing this all off of a jab. One reason is the jab is one of the fastest shots, it's the hardest, but of course these slips, ducks, retreats, all that, they work off a variety of shots. So if I were to throw a hook, for example, and I'm in here, of course the duck's gonna work. If I throw a cross rear hand, duck's fine. I appreciate you guys checking out this video. Hope you got something out of it. We're going to be back more on this piece of equipment, show you some other ways you can develop your fighting skills. Thanks so much. Bye.